championship game on January 20th. The Jets, Browns, and Jaguars will play games in London next season, serving as host teams. Opponents and dates announced when the 2025 schedule is released in the spring.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom, can you get me a little typeset?
Now, funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown and amuse you?
Your tire's tired.
Well, the lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car, I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. If you're listening to another station I don't understand, 'cause nobody does it like Tom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the Junkyard Dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land, nobody does it like Tom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Oh, yeah, baby. Wow. Think a little bit of snow is going to stop us? What, are you kidding me? Got it, Football Friday tonight. Nick Saban retirement day 1 year ago today. Celebrate that every January 10th now? Nick Saban retirement day? Oh, yeah, we got lots to get to today. I know it's Snowmageddon 2025. I get it. And depending on where you are and where you're listening to the show today, you have anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow, maybe more. My baby sister lives in northwest Mississippi, just south of Memphis, and they got almost a foot over there. Of course, my other baby sister lives in Park City, Utah. They got 5 feet, okay? She is not that impressed by our little, 4 inches of snow, all right? They got 5 feet, and it's going to be there until, I don't know, May. So they're not worried about us. All right, the glorious 5 days of playoff action kicked off last night with a highly entertaining mistake fest of a game between Notre Dame and Penn State. I felt like I was watching the third place game in the tournament, okay? I'm just going to say that. And it feels like tonight is the natty. Because the luck of the Irish has got to run out at some point, right? I mean, I think they're going to get boat raced in the championship game by whoever wins this game tonight. But it's good for college football for the Domers to be there. It's good in a way, and in another way, in as much as that they're an independent and they get to keep all the money. They've made $20 million so far. The winner of tonight's game will have made $20 million for their conference. The winner of tonight's game gets $20 million that goes to the SEC or to the Big Ten. That they got to split 16 ways or 18 ways. Notre Dame is like, yeah, just show me the money. They should keep it all. They don't care. They got it all. All right. Today is week 2 of the Winter Grand Trifecta, a 6-week sprint through the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And you are playing not only for weekly prizes, but a grand prize of a night in the TOC 6-person ice suite at the Huntsville Havoc game on March 1st. Now, last week's trifecta is still open. Remember, that was a 3-game trifecta, and it was strictly 3 games, get them right, get 1 point. So that's still open. That won't be decided until tonight. But tonight's game is in there, all right? It's also in today's trifecta. Today we've got 4 games for you. If you get the first 3 right, that's a point. But if you add the 4th game, that's 2 additional bonus points. So there's 3 points on the board in this one. We will get you to picks in a moment. And we got plenty of room to get you in. We welcome those of you watching on WZZN TV, our YouTube channel, and on X as well. You can check that out if you haven't yet. We welcome our listeners on 97.7 ESPN, the app. Apparently, we are not welcoming our listeners at ESPN Winchester. Unless the boss down there or up there had a change of heart and went to the radio station to put us on the air. I understand that they've closed their doors and are airing the network, and we're not on there. Okay? It's what I'm understanding. I mean, they could listen. They don't hear me now. I mean, I put it up on the Twitter. They can listen at 977ESPN.com. They can listen on the app. Not on the ESPN Winchester app, but they can listen on, this 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. But apparently, we've been snowed out by ESPN Winchester. Phone lines are open, 256-576-4977. You can also text the show at 7329-TA-SHOW. It's kind of rude. They snowed me out. I'm wearing their gear today. Look. So I got my 97.7 ESPN The Zone hat on. For those of you that are watching on WZZN TV, it's a sweet hoodie I got on. All right? See that? It's their hoodie. I got their hoodie on. I literally have 2 hoodies on. Never in the history of me have I worn 2 hoodies. I literally have 2 hoodies on now because it's a little bit cold in the studio. I mean, we're going to survive. Don't get me wrong. I got a space heater over here. I got a space heater over there. I got a mini split up there that's struggling. And I got the studio lights on, which do warm up the upper level of the studio. So hopefully they'll, straighten out. Your text window. You'll need this to get your picks in if you don't call them in. 732-9TA-SHOW. 732-982-7469. That's a great way to communicate with us. My X feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The Zone is on X at 97.7 ESPN. So you can check all of that out. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the socials and the calendar at 977ESPN.com so you know what games are where and when. Because the Zone has all your college football playoff action, all the NFL playoff action right through the Super Bowl, all your Havoc action, all your UAH action. Got all kinds of game of the week stuff, and basketball stuff, Alabama basketball, other college basketball action. You have to go there and check it out because whether or not maybe it's on Talk Radio WZZN, maybe it's on the Zone. So you got to go there to see all of that stuff. One guest on the show today, just one, Steve Merril from Wager Talk TV, and he's coming up at the top of the one with a look at tonight and this weekend's action. Otherwise, we are wide open to get you into the show. All right, you want your picks? I'll give you your picks. We start with tonight and the Cotton Bowl, which, as I said, I think is the Natty. Texas.
You don't buy a Lincoln because it makes sense.
Don't mess with Texas.
They get 5.5 against Ohio State.
You know what? I hate to do this, but I'll take the Suckeyes.
Then tomorrow night, Prime, tomorrow night, streaming, the Steelers.
Man, the Pittsburgh Steelers need a new offensive coordinator. This guy sucks.
They get 8.5 at the Ravens.
If the ball is in your hand and I knock it out your hand, that's a freaking fumble.
I'm afraid of Ray Lewis just listening to him say that. And then on Sunday, the Broncos get 9.5 at the Bills.
Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout.
And in your bonus for the extra 2 points, Sunday afternoon, Green Bay Packers.
Lombardi.
What the hell's going on out here?
They get 4.5 at the Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Okay, Jalen, stop that. All right, have at it. There you go. Have at it. 256-576-4977 will get you in. Last night, Penn State rushed for 204 yards in the first half and seemed unstoppable. They built a 10-0 lead. They are 34-2 in their last 36 games, leading by 10. And both of the losses were this season to Ohio State and last night. Notre Dame made the adjustments at the half and held the Nittany Lions to only 63 yards on the ground in the second half. Yet and still, Penn State still led the game with 5 minutes left in the game. Then they have a defensive breakdown. Notre Dame scores an easy touchdown on a long pass. Then Drew Aller makes a huge mistake. A huge mistake deep in his own territory, trying to force the ball while under pressure with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. Throws the pick and sets up Notre Dame's game-winning field goal. Marcus Freeman has more wins against top 5 teams in the last 8 days than James Franklin has in 11 years at Penn State. Let that sink in. Let me say it again. Marcus Freeman has more wins against top 5 teams in 8 days than James Franklin has in 11 years at Penn State. Of course, James Franklin never lost to Northern Illinois either. Marcus Freeman did that. Franklin is now 1-15 against top 5 teams with Penn State. Before that, he was 0-3 at Vandy. I mean, this is almost unimaginable. He's 1-18 in his career against top 5 teams. And that one win was nearly 10 years ago against Ohio State. What is also nuts is the fact that a program like Penn State, which gets some serious big-time players, and will have several players drafted into the NFL in this draft, doesn't seem to be able to come up with a premium wide receiver. I mean, they played a game last night and had 0 catches by a wide receiver. 0. They got a unicorn of a tight end. They got an unbelievable defensive end. They got some great running backs. Their quarterback doesn't all the way suck. Sucks a little bit. That was only his 7th interception of the season, Drew Aller. And they got 0 receivers. Now, I bashed James Franklin with the 1-18 against top 5s. Here's the other hand. Franklin is 34-8 in the past 3 years. He's 22-5 in the Big Ten. He's had 11-win seasons, at least 11 or more wins in 6 of his 11 seasons that he's been at Penn State. I mean, who wouldn't take that, right? I mean, I'm looking at you, Auburn fan. I mean, what if you had that record? You know, if you were 34-8 in the past 3 seasons, but you lost all the time to Alabama, and you lost every big game that you ever played in, but you were 34-8, or you had 6 seasons where you had 11 wins plus out of every other season, basically. Over 11. If you didn't win 11, you won 10 or 9 or 10 or 11. jumping all over that, aren't you? I mean, most teams around the country would jump on that. The enigma that is James Franklin. All right, back in mission control. Playing the Platters That Matter, the Stacks of Wax, answering the phones, living large and in charge, fighting his way to the studio in the four-wheel drive shag wagon that he bought from his old man. Covering for Jumpin' Joe Hunk. It's Captain Cool.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together on a spit and polish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
I have a sentimental weakness for my children, and I spoil them, as you can see. They talk when they should listen.
Give me back my son!
I don't like violence, Thom. I'm a businessman.
I'm telling you, there's an embarrassing press conference in that kid's future.
If you ain't first, you're last. He's got Abraham down.
What a catch!
What a catch! A leaping catch at the 45-yard lines, and he brings it in.
So what happened to Hunk today? I mean, what was this? Is this a little bit too much for him, or what? What's the story?
I don't think his Chevy Volt could get over here. I'm just going to be real with you. It doesn't look like how it looks behind you right now on your little green screen.
I tried to.
Different.
I'm trying to channel good warm thoughts.
Yeah, no.
That's Big Spring Park here, and I'm trying to channel some good warm thoughts for people.
No, we talked with Grace Anello yesterday, and she said that there's probably going to be still some snow, still some freezing ice on the road going into like next week. I think it's going to be out of here by Tuesday, Wednesday. So, it's going to be interesting next few days. And now I see that it is just a complete blizzard behind you, looking like Narnia.
Yeah. So should I do that? Should I go blizzard?
Yeah.
Go blizzard behind me. There we go. 41 and sunny on Sunday. We'll see how it is. On Wednesday night, my pastor at our church, on Wednesday night at Wednesday night service, he said, look, don't get excited about coming in on Sunday. It's okay if you miss Sunday. That's what he said. He said, if you miss Sunday, you miss Sunday. It's okay. We'll have a little service here. If you can make it here, it's fine. Now, the church I can walk to church. I can put some snowshoes on. Walk. Church is right down the corner. I could go do that. And we're in the middle of some deal there. We're, going back on Sundays right now at 5 o'clock. Of course, that's going to be the beginning of the second half of the Packers-Eagles game, which is the game I really wanted. Of all the games I want to see, it's that one. But I could throw it on the pause. I could put my phone and turn it over so I don't get updates. And then I could go to church for an hour and then race back to the house and watch the rest of the game and maybe not miss any of it. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if it's too bad, if I get a text from the church and they say everything's off on Sunday, well, then it is what it is. I mean, I guess I'll have to just, I just have to live with that.
I think the craziest thing about the weather is yesterday it was actually a pretty nice day. I actually went to the skate park, and I was inline blading for a little bit, having a real fun time until I woke up this morning at 6:30, and it was already a winter wonderland. So that was definitely the craziest part about it.
Yeah, that's when it about started here. It wasn't a winter wonderland yet. It was just kind of starting to misty snow here at that particular point in time. I did post a video earlier of me slogging my way to work because, listen, I'm like the post office guy. Now, rain or wind or sleet of night or darkness will keep me from my appointed rounds. I made it in. There was no doubt that I was going to make it in today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joking matter until there's some accidents on the road. So I kind of took offense to that. I was driving the shag while I pulled up my Twitter, and it was snowing, so I was sliding around a little bit. I saw your little.
Why are you looking at the tweeter while you're driving?
Oh, well,
you're supposed to do that
because the snow, it would soften the blow if I did slide out of control. So
why didn't you put it in 4-wheel drive, son?
Put
the 4-wheel drive on. You won't even notice it. You'll be like clawing. I've driven that thing in 4-wheel drive. I mean, it's unreal in 4-wheel drive.
It's nice to have in 4-wheel drive, but getting it out of 4-wheel drive can sometimes be a little bit of a hassle. You got to back it up and then go forward real quick. But outside of that, I didn't think it was needed. I mean, the car's like 5,000 pounds, so I mean, it was able to get to work pretty easy with little to no issues.
Appreciate you that you made it in there. That's good. Is anybody else bumping around? Have you seen Mulatan or Merril, or is anybody else in the the big guy has a Bronco, a 4-wheel drive Ford Bronco. He should have made it in.
It's nice. Sadly, I think I am the only person in this building today.
It's me and you, man. That's the way we roll. Yeah, I'll give you a little fist bump.
Well, and Scott, Drew, and Bailey were able to show up as well. But,
They made it in this morning. Drew made it in?
Drew made it in on time.
Good job by Drew. You sure you didn't sleep there last night? You might have slept there last night. Did you see my hoodie here?
I did.
Isn't that sweet?
See, I'm going to be honest. I thought that Joe made that with a cricket. I'm going to be honest. And I got excited.
Why would you think he made it with a cricket?
Because they just got a cricket.
Yeah, but why would you think he would need a cricket to make that? I mean, it's really sweet.
I don't know, because it happened right after he got the cricket. And it just excited me.
I got a zip-up hoodie on over my hoodie.
It looks very warm. You see what I'm rocking today?
I see. Good job by you. How old is that thing? That was Joe's.
Yeah, no, this thing's ancient. This thing's ancient.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff going on in it. That Jeremiah Love 2-yard touchdown run.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. That's one of the highlights of the entire college football year.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the coolest things ever, was Jeremiah Love's 2-yard touchdown run that put Notre Dame up by a score of 17-0 at the time. But it was a mistake-filled game. It really was. I mean, they're throwing interceptions both sides. It felt like the third-place game to me. That's what I felt like I was watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like tonight we're going to see thoroughbreds. I thought last night we saw plow horses. And then tonight we're going to see thoroughbreds.
Well,
That's how I got it.
We've seen the ceiling from Drew Aller and this Penn State team because they've faced off against pretty easy teams, and they didn't even look amazing against Boise State. But having to go up against a defense, like Notre Dame's, that really is giving us a picture of what this is going to be whenever it comes to the championship game, because it's going to be two hard-hitting defenses going against each other. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game like we would think about in the past with like an Ohio State team. I don't know.
Back
I don't
number's
think so.
52. Back number's 52. This is going to be 30. This is going to be 30-24.
I'm going to say a little bit lower on that, and that's if Will Howard can continue what he's doing. The success that I'm seeing from him, it is pretty bonkers. But for Notre Dame, Jeremiah loved that run. I would say it would be my number one on SportsCenter's top 10. It was number 3. They actually put Christian Gray's interception as number 1. I was like, it was huge for the game, but I don't think it was that crazy of a play to put number 1. That run was nasty.
Who are you squeezing for tonight?
The way that Ohio State's been playing has just been off the wall. So I picked Ohio State, but with everybody else picking Ohio State, similar to yesterday and a lot of people picking Penn State, I got to go Texas. I'm just saying, SEC all the way.
Are you pulling for Texas or are you predicting Texas? There's a difference. So I think Texas is going to win, and I'm pulling for Texas.
Wow.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm on. Listen, this is a moto. You know what a moto is? A moto is a master of the obvious. Everybody is on Ohio State because Ohio State, it destroyed Tennessee and Oregon, and everybody's on them. But to do it 3 times in a row, I'm telling you, I'm feeling Texas here. And this whole thing about a all Big Ten national championship game is going up in smoke. And it's going to be the SEC and independent. That's the way I think it's going to end up. All right, we'll get a break in here. When we come back, we'll take our first round of phone calls. You can jump in line right behind Wolverine Dan, and we'll be ready to go and take your picks. It's a Tom Abraham Show. We're off and running here on a snowy Friday. It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center.
Right, so I'm
tired of that
using
washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
Show. Second greatest fight song in college football right there. Glad you are with us. This segment of the show is brought to you by our friends at Owen Home Appliance Center. At Owen Home Appliance Center, it's laundry season right now. And if you're tired of that washer just kind of walking out the door, or if you're tired of having to dry a load 2 or 3 times, it's time now for a new washer and dryer from Owen Home Appliance Center. They got brands like Maytag and GE and Whirlpool and Electrolux. And, of course, they've got the Speed Queen as well. And get this, they've got the new GE Profile 2-in-1 that washes and dries a load all in one machine. That's incredible. That's nuts. You can check out the interactive location in Lacey Springs, just 8 miles south of the river on 231. It's Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name at Owen Home Appliance Center. All right, let's go to the lines, get this thing started. We do it with Natty Danny. Natty Danny, welcome to the show. Wait a minute. Who put Natty Danny on my screen?
You put it on. Keep it out there.
Who put Natty Danny on my screen? That's what we did.
No, Joe. No. You did the right thing. You did the right thing because it really, legitimately, I still am until about a week from now. Okay, so let's leave it at that. Now, with that said, nice bumper music. I love it. That, Tom, our fight song and your fight song is the greatest fight song in college football.
Yeah, I've got Notre Dame fight song is first. I've got Hail to the Victors is second. And those are the way I ranked the fight songs in college football.
Well, I agree with the two, but I think you broke up. You said the third was Bama.
Yay, Alabama. Yeah, I mean it's
it sounds. Bama's fight song sounds like a burlesque show. You know,
no, it does not sound like a burlesque.
Well, it sounds like a burlesque show anyway. With that said, I'm hunkered down in the house. This is how you do it up north. You just don't leave. I'm here with Wolverine Ginger, or should I say Natty Ginger?
No, it's Ginger.
And then we're hanging out. We're hanging out watching this. You ever see this series? You ever hear the series? It's called Main Cabin Masters.
I'm a big Main Cabin Master fan. They're building a place in Italy, is from what I understand right now. In Main Cabin Masters. Have you know? Did you know that?
Yeah, that's already done. That's already done. Now they're back to the new season. Yeah, right now we're going through.
When did the new season start?
Season 1 all the way till now, and we're checking. Usually on our screen, it'll show if the show has been watched by us or not. There's a white line where. So we haven't come across all these seasons. If we see something with no white line, so we're basically.
Well, you have to do that because. Because as old as you are, it doesn't matter. You can watch the same episode. Like, you can watch one season. By the time you get to the end of the season, go back to the beginning, and I'm sure you forgot everything that was in there.
You know,
doesn't Ash?
Or he falls asleep.
Hey,
right.
Joe, listen, Tom, you're not too far behind me, so let's not go there, okay? Hey, I think.
Listen,
nice
doesn't Ashley? Doesn't Ashley on that show seem like she's on the spectrum a little bit? I mean, she's just a little weird on Main Cabin Masters. Ashley, the sister.
Yeah, I like the guy with the ponytail, her hubby.
He's just like your friend.
Yeah, I got a guy from I graduated with that looks just like this guy. Exactly. Acts just like him.
You know who he is? He reminds me of Grumpy. That guy. That's Dixie. Dixie reminds me of Grumpy.
Oh yeah, but I'm just talking about Ashley's husband, Ryan.
You're talking about Ash. Oh, that guy. Yeah, that guy's. I mean, he's always twitching and everything. He makes me nervous just watching him. You know, he always seems like he's all coked up to me, Ryan. Yeah. Let's talk about Dixie. And then you got the other guy's a hockey player.
Well, yeah, it's a great show, and I know
Dixie
you like
reminds me of Grumpy.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just hunkering down and doing the right thing. We're not going to get in people's way right now. We got plenty to eat and everything here, so there's no sense getting people going on the road and getting somebody hurt or you just stay off it. That's all. So anyway, I know I got
to run over to the.
You had the long travel from your house to your studio. I know that. So
I'm glad you made it safe.
Yeah.
I did.
Anyway.
Buck Ballou saw that video. Buck Ballou saw the video, and he sent me a video, or he commented on the X, and it said, "Hope you make it home safely," is what he said. He said, "Hope you can get home safely from there." And I'm like,
well,
"We'll do it." I'll shuffle until I shuffle my feet. Yeah.
It was good to see you at Corleo's yesterday and seeing your wife and your daughter. I'm gonna tell you what. Every time, guys, this restaurant, I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong. The food is spot on every time. The service is phenomenal, and Lalos is a great owner, a real nice guy. He was telling me a story, and he had customers come in, and I couldn't finish it with him. So when I left, I said, remember, you had me at your car wouldn't start, meaning that's as far as the story I got. I wanted to listen to the rest of it, but he had a nightmare story. I'm sorry.
He had that same story. He was on the tarmac in Nashville, coming back from Mexico. He spent 3 weeks in Mexico, took his son, and he was on the tarmac for an hour waiting to get in. And then when they actually got to the point where they could offload the plane, they got off the plane, and then they had to wait an hour for their luggage. Then his car wouldn't start. And I mean, it was a nightmare all the way to the end of the story. It's absolutely crazy. He had to go back the next day to pick his vehicle up in Lawrenceburg or Pulaski, wherever it was.
You ever hear the saying "less is more"? You don't ruin it for me, Tom. I think you just about almost ruined it for me. Anyway, with that said, let's do the trifecta.
All right. So I know last week you were on Ohio State. You stay on Ohio State. Texas gets 5.5 at Ohio State or against Ohio State.
Well, I would love to see Ohio State in the finals. That way I can have a shot at getting the Big Ten to win the Natty back-to-back. But I am in the lead of the wacky underdog pick with 30-plus points. and I want to add six more to. I want to add 6 more to it. Or what's your spread on the 5 points with Texas?
5.5. 5.5. But I don't do wacky underdog. I don't even know what you're talking about. So you don't get points like that on this show, you know. I mean,
I know. But if I've already picked it on that show, and I'll take Texas on this show. That way, I double up on my picks, and then I'm going to cash in about a week or so. Ain't nobody near me, so I'm just going to double up.
Because it makes sense.
Okay, all right, we got your Texas. All right, the Steelers get 9.5 at the Ravens.
God, that's a lot of points for a pro team. Gee, Lord have mercy. You know, I'll take the Steelers. Why not?
Man, the Pittsburgh Steelers need a new fucking offensive coordinator. This guy sucks.
Actually, I stand corrected. Let me just correct that. That's 8.5. All right, so it's still a lot of points, but that's 8.5. There is what they get there, and the Broncos get 9.5 at the Bills.
I'll take I think that quarterback for the Broncos. Auburn quarterback, whatever his name is, I can't remember. Anyway, he's pretty darn.
From Scottsboro.
He's really good. He's really good. So I think I'll take Denver.
Rocky Mountain High,
and the Packers get 4.5 at the Eagles in the bonus.
Well, Tim, our buddy between Larry and I, he's picking the Phillies because of the quarterback for Philadelphia.
He's back. Jalen Hurts, yeah.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. And, you know what? I'm going to take the Packers because I don't want him to win, and he's going to take Philly. So I'll take the Packers. I'll go with Larry.
Lombardi.
All right, we got you. We're ready, Dan.
All right, man. Listen, again, be careful on your travel back to your house.
Early to get home.
Yeah, you might want to leave early.
yeah. I was thinking about shutting it down right after the show and trying to get home early. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, get back on that couch and vegetate. You got football to watch.
I hear you. Appreciate it. It's a good job by you. John, do you know what the heck he's talking about when he says underdog or whatever he say, crazy underdog picks or whatever he's talking about?
Those wacky underdog picks, you know?
Yeah, what are they? Who does that?
It's an award-winning challenge that we do on the Morning Blitz.
Oh, that's part of the Morning Blitz?
Yeah. I mean, you know, every once in a while you can tune into the show. Just on a Friday, maybe.
Well, I got all this other work to do, you know what I mean? So I'm usually always working. But that Harold Bug used to do the wacky underdog picks on their show back in the day. I mean, a long time ago. Brett Beard and Harold Bug used to do that too. So how does that work? You pick a game that's an underdog, and then you get the points, whatever the points are that the underdog was?
That's exactly what it is. We actually had quite a bit of people participate this season, but it's coming to an end. And yet again, Natty Dan looks to be the winner. We'll be announcing the actual winner, though, next week on our show.
All right, so there you go. Tune in every day from 9 to 11 for that little ditty there, the Morning Blitz with John and Joe Honk and Bailey. All right, back to the lines with Paulie in the Cape. Paulie, welcome to the show. How are you?
How you doing, Tom? How much snow did you guys get?
We have, without looking out the window right now, we've got about 5 inches or so right now, and some areas have 8 or 9 inches. Yeah.
Jesus, my goodness!
It's a lot.
I hope you're burly.
Yeah, it's a lot
hope
for
you're
this.
Burly enough to make it. You know, ooh.
Well, for this part of the world, you know what I mean. You know, down south here, you get a snow like that. Everybody's schools will be closed for a week now, and everything else. So.
Yeah. You're gonna have to learn how to gut squirrels to eat. Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm gonna have to shoot the cat in the neighborhood over there and put that on the spit. Yeah.
Put on a slow sizzle. It's pretty good.
There you go.
Anyways, I'm ready for the Friday trifecta.
So Texas gets 5.5 against Ohio State.
I'll have to go with Texas. Maybe Manning will pull one out. You never know.
Don't mess with Texas.
Manning. Well, he might not even play. Why did Manning got to pull it out? What's wrong with Quinn Ewers? Maybe he'll pull it out.
Hopefully.
The Steelers get 8.5 at the Ravens.
Yeah, I have to take the Ravens, and the best move is to tease that down to 6.5, and you'll be sleeping better. Yeah.
If the ball is in your hand and I knock it out your hand, that's a freaking fumble.
Now, you would be teasing it to 2.5, right? It would be 6 points when you tease it. So if you put it together in a two-teamer.
On the, well, anything under 6, you're gonna, the more you chip it down, the less you get paid on a 3 or 4 game, parlay.
Right. The Broncos get 9.5 at the Bills.
I'll take the Bills and kick that late field goal to get you back over on the spread. Be back and forth on that field.
And then our 2-point bonus, the Packers get 4.5 at the Eagles.
I'll take the Eagles. Can they stop the running game?
Yeah, well.
Are the Packers going to stop that running game? Barkley.
No. Partially, maybe, but not entirely. I mean, that's all
Well,
the Eagles are going to do. The question is, if you can turn the Eagles into a one-trick pony, they can run the ball for 250 yards if they want, as long as they don't pass it, for too much, and put you in a bind there.
I see a lot of misdirection with Hurt and
Barkley, Saquon Barkley.
A lot of tight end screens and maybe even running back screens, so just to open them up a little bit. But they're going to wear them down. I think it's going to be a work-on game.
Yeah, the Packers have kind of stumbled their way to the finish line, so
and
we'll see if they can gather it up and do something.
What a shame that quarterback throws that dumb interception and then gives Notre Dame the chance to win it. He was pretty dejected, and the coach gave him just like that.
That was incredible.
The coach did a good move.
I just think, I mean, Christian Gray comes up with the interception there. They had just stopped Notre Dame and got the ball back on the punt. And, I mean, the last thing you want to do is turn it over there because the worst-case scenario, I thought we were headed for overtime. And then all of a sudden he turns it over, in his own end. And Notre Dame was 1 first down away from – and the gutsy call was on 3rd down when Notre Dame 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3 thought they were just going to run it again and set up a 54-yard field goal attempt, which is, dicey. And they ran that little pop pass and got the first down, and then it was Katie Bardador after that.
Yeah, one mistake, and the kid was devastated, but the coach kind of said, "Hey, get it, it's over. Come on, forget about this, do it." So big games.
Well, I appreciate you. Big games.
Big games, and be safe. Be safe on those treacherous roads. Hope you don't live on a hill.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. That's the issue where I live is in the valley, and our school district here includes up on Mount Eagle, the mountain that where Swanee is, University of the South. And the thing is that even if things are getting better or okay, and the roads start to clear down here, the problem is that getting up and down that mountain. And John knows this, but, I mean, can you imagine, trying to get a bus up and down that mountain, getting up to Mount Eagle and getting those kids up there in Swanee and then getting them down? I don't know which would be worse, going to go up that mountain or going down that mountain, but that's not an easy mountain to climb. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely isn't, and that's why we saw it over in Winchester, of course. Whenever it was a little bit of snow, it was a lot because it went a long way. A whole week out of it because there's totally different elements up on top of that mountain. And the same can go for some areas in Winchester or in Huntsville because there are a lot of hilly areas, of course, going over to Bailey Cove or in the other areas where I live, it straight up is on a little bit of a hill. So whenever I was pulling out today, I saw a few people actually getting stuck already trying to get up this little hill to their area. So it's a little bit sketchy out there still. So, again, people who are on the road, definitely be careful.
When I had the shag wagon, I kept a strap in there to help people because you know why? It's got 4-wheel drive, which you refuse to use even in a snowstorm.
Well, I used it, and I used the strap as well to save Steve from whenever he was stuck in some big old shrubbery. So I got a strap. I'm ready to pull anybody out
a strap
of the ditch.
Yeah, you got to do that. All right. Phone lines are open 256-576-4977. We'll get you into the show. When we come back, Brandon Marcello, who used to cover Auburn, just eviscerated James Franklin. I'll share that with you next, right here on the Thom Abraham.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, G-Bank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a G-Bank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Notre Dame headed for the national title game after beating Penn State 27-24 in the Orange Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium. After being the favorite for the entire week, the Fighting Irish close as a 1.5-point underdog at kickoff as bettors flock to the Penn State Nittany Lions. Notre Dame will meet either Ohio State or Texas. The Cotton Bowl Classic coming up today at AT&T Stadium. Buckeyes laying 6 against the Longhorns, 53.5 the total. Wild card weekend of the NFL tomorrow.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com. It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
Vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama. And we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say: never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Alabama knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
I wanna thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
See, I'm always embarrassed when I can't remember. Is that Texas? Which one is that?
That is the good old Ohio State fight song.
That's Ohio State, and that was the same one that got me tripped up last week. I'm not good. If we ever did like a name that fight song type of deal, I would not be very good at it. I can tell you that right now. But I'll tell you what I can tell you, though, is that this segment of the show is brought to you by the award-winning service department at Woody Anderson Ford. And they're there for your routine checkups. They can keep your Ford or other brand in perfect working order. They also have an outstanding mobile service where they'll come out to you, and their convenient mobile program services include things like oil changes and tire rotations and part replacements, such as windshield wipers or lights. And if you're only available on the weekend or in the evening, their quick lane service is your one-stop shop to service brakes and tires and batteries. No matter the service your Ford needs, Woody Anderson ensures quick and professional and exceptional service. That's Woody Anderson Ford. All right, Brandon Marcello got loose on James Franklin, and this is going to be the narrative. I mean, this is going to continue to be the narrative on James Franklin until he gets over that hump, because even here in the playoff, they say, well, look, he made it to the semifinals. He made it to the Final Four, but luck of the draw had him playing SMU at home and Boise State. It wasn't right. I mean, Oregon's the Big Ten champion, and they had to go through Ohio State, and if they had won that game, they would have to go to Texas to play Texas. Ain't right. But that's just the way it fell out. So Brandon Marcello wrote, quote, "Big Game James has earned a moniker for all the wrong reasons. The close losses, the frustrating coaching decisions in tight games and critical situations, the lack of adjustments, and most damning, his demeanor with fans after losses add up as a combustible mix that oftentimes leads to sadness rather than happiness in Happy Valley." On Thursday, Franklin impressively found a new way to choke. A 1-point favorite at kickoff, Penn State led Notre Dame 10-0 and then fell apart and played catch-up for most of the second half. The Nittany Lions are an incredible 34-2 in games when they lead by 10. But both losses occurred this season in the biggest games of the year, Ohio State and Notre Dame. The coach has made some tremendous off-the-field decisions, particularly with his hiring practices, but he seemingly negates that with in-game coaching and sideline presence. He puckers in the big ones, whether it's a top 5 opponent or a Big Ten rival like Ohio State or Michigan. There's no outlier here. Franklin has already painted a clear picture for us, and don't let your eyes tell you otherwise. He always falls short of expectations. Penn State was in control in the first half Thursday night, dominating both lines of scrimmage, and the coordinators were calling circles around their counterparts at Notre Dame. Then adjustments were made by Notre Dame, and Penn State didn't have enough answers in the back-and-forth fourth quarter as quarterback Drew Eller again and again misfired in the backfield. Simply put, Franklin caved under the pressure, and Penn State's players subsequently followed his lead and collapsed. Players are a reflection of their coach. They look good in the field most of the time, on the field most of the time, but close doesn't count to win championships. That's just a segment of the article that was written by Brandon Marcello regarding James Franklin and his legacy. Now, I hate it for the guy. I hate it for him. He was, we had a solid friendship when he was here. when he was here, when he was in Nashville and I was in Nashville. So when we were there, we had a good friendship. I was very fond of him. I was with a station. I was doing pre and post game for Vanderbilt football on the radio, and he was, he had taken Vanderbilt from being a doormat to being a 8-9 win team. They were playing in bowl games, and they went 5-3 in the SEC as last year. 5-3 in the SEC. I mean, it wasn't like they were just beating cupcakes. They were winning SEC games as well. They were dominating Tennessee. John, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
You remember going to little Vanderbilt Stadium and watching them tattoo Tennessee like 44-14 or something like that.
Back in, I believe it was 2013, it was one of those things where I was going to the game thinking that I was just going to see, a Vanderbilt-Tennessee game where Tennessee would probably end up winning. But you talked so much about this coach, and I remember, thinking about it a little bit more. And I believe they actually, for Tennessee, they fired their coach like in between the game. I mean, I feel like that was the case. But for Vanderbilt,
been a Derek Dooley year.
it was huge for the team. And then to see him move on to Penn State, I thought he was in over his head. But honestly, this team was able to consistently win. But it's weird. What do you do with a guy that can win the games and get your team far into the postseason, but not win it all? It's a similar subject to, I think, Ryan Day, except for Ryan Day now is able to actually, show up whenever it matters.
We don't know. We don't know yet.
They don't know.
I mean, he's won. Obviously, Ryan Day beat. Ryan Day beat good teams in Tennessee and Oregon. I mean, he beat the number 1 team in the country, beat the number 8 team in the country. So that is, that's a thing. But let me tell you something. They lose tonight as a 5.5-point favorite. It's going to be the same story all over again.
The talk's going to continue,
and it's going to extend. Right, it's going to extend beyond Ryan Day and James Franklin, and it's going to put the Big Ten on blast once again. They're going to now. It's going to come out like, well, maybe last year with Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, that was an outlier. Remember, it took Jim Harbaugh 8 years to do that. I mean, Jim Harbaugh was circling the drain.
Yeah.
Till Connor Stallions and the cheating and all the other stuff that they were doing, and then he wins a national championship, and he's got to get out of there because there's no way he can keep coaching there.
Yeah, a lot of people
got to go.
A lot of people hyping up the Big Ten right now, but if it does go south for him, literally against Texas, I mean, then we're looking at a SEC independent type national championship, and not a lot of conferences get the love there.
What happened? All right, hour number 2 kicks off with Steve Merril from Wager Talk TV. We'll get his take on everything that's going on with the games. And then we'll get the phone lines open up once again, and you can get your picks in. Call a friend. Tell them, hey, the big dog's on. Let's go. Football Friday in the Doghouse. More right after this.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain.
Oh, mercy! The one-handed flush!
Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball. The Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Oftentimes, the wheelchairs our veterans and first responders receive from their healthcare providers are subpar at best. Some are falling apart, with a years-long waiting list for a new one. This lag causes a tremendous amount of stress for our heroes and creates a burden for their caregivers. Isolation leads to depression. We build what they need to get outdoors, hunting, fishing, or playing sports. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's on to the NFL for Penn State All-American defensive end Abdul Carter. His agent told ESPN's Adam Schefter today the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year is entering April's draft, where he's expected to be taken early in the first round. Carter recorded his 12th sack of the season in the loss to Notre Dame in last night's college football playoff semifinal. ESPN NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. has him as the number 2 player available on his big board. Texas takes on Ohio State in the CFP semifinal tonight at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN. ESPN Bet listing the Buckeyes as a 6-point favorite. The winner meets Notre Dame. This is a perfect championship game on January 20th. The Jets, Browns, and Jaguars will play games in London next season, serving as host teams. Opponents and dates announced when the 2025 schedule is released in the spring.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC, and here it just means more. What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That there's an honest-to-goodness chandelier in your tailgate tent? Perhaps, but it means more than that. It means pioneering medical solutions to predict new flu viruses. It means leading globally diverse teams to eliminate starvation in developing countries. And it means being home to one of the nation's top cybersecurity programs. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back on number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. The segment of the show is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center. That's right. For all your orthopedic needs, it is the Orthopedic Center, where thousands of area residents have received world-class care from the Valley's most trusted and experienced group of orthopedic surgeons and medical specialists. That's right, it's TOC. So if you have an orthopedic problem and are considering professional care, TOC is the only logical choice. Whether you got a work-related injury or got sideline playing a sport you love, you need the best care, the best physicians, the best facility to get you back in the game. And I think you'll agree that the Orthopedic Center is right for you. Now, I don't know what it's like up in Virginia, where our friend Steve Merril from Wager Talk TV is, but I know what it's like here in the dirty South, where there's plenty of snow out there. So you need to be very, very careful. These are unusual conditions for folks in our parts. I know the people over in Memphis got almost a foot of snow. People in Nashville are getting hit with about 8 or 9 inches. Huntsville's got 6 inches. So there's plenty of snow all around the area. And joining us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and I believe on WZZN TV as well, is the one and only Steve Merril from Wager Talk TV. Steve, welcome in. How are you?
Happy New Year, Tom. Haven't seen you since last year.
I know, it's right. It has been since last year since we've seen you. Have you guys gotten hit with any snow yet? What's the situation there?
Got a few inches on Sunday and Monday. Everything's gone, and now we're going to get another 4 inches tonight until about 8 a.m. until about 7 a.m. Saturday morning. So, yeah, nothing too crazy, but, yeah, icy and snowy here as well. And, of course, Texas is getting hit, which they got more than they normally get, but the dome, I assume the roof will be closed tonight at AT&T Stadium, so it should be good playing conditions still.
Yeah, I mean, the playing conditions will be fine. It'll be interesting to see how, how whether or not the building's 100%. The Ohio State people are having a heck of a time getting there.
Right.
I think it's a distinct advantage for the Texas fans because, a lot of the Texas fans coming from within a couple of hours of Dallas, they are able to drive in there and get in there, whereas, flying out of Columbus and getting down there has been really tough, I know, for a lot of the Ohio State fans.
Yeah, and I kind of stayed away from the side on this game for that reason. I said when the playoffs began, I thought Ohio State was the best team in the country, but they got a very tough first-round matchup against Tennessee. They obviously handled business. Arguably got the best team in the second round as well against Oregon and handled business. And even now they got the toughest third-round matchup, Texas. Who's better than Notre Dame or Penn State? In fact, I can prove it because they have look-ahead lines out right now. Texas is going to be a 3.5-point favorite over Notre Dame. And Ohio State's going to be about a 10-point favorite over Notre Dame. So if you want a more competitive final, you're rooting for Texas tonight. With that said, though, the look-ahead line on this, I didn't remember seeing a passable matchup line on this, but my guess is it would have been probably about a field goal. Now it's a 6-point line. So you are paying a premium now for Ohio State, where I thought you were kind of getting them at a discount maybe the first couple rounds after that Michigan loss. But now Ohio State's looking like the more public side. So I do think Texas, home field advantage, also a good defensive dog. The question is if that offense can do enough to keep it close.
I'm trying to get it in my head that Ohio State could play 3 really good games like this in a row, because I go back to the one before the Tennessee game and they were getting beat by Michigan. And not that Michigan wasn't stout at the end there and so on. I get all of that, but still they were getting beat by Michigan. And, can they lay an egg like that again this time at Texas? Texas sprinted out to that early lead against Arizona State and then kind of sat back a little bit and almost got bit for doing it. But, wonder whether or not if Texas puts together a full game that they can win this game. That look-ahead situation was surprising to me because you look at the line tonight, which is hovering around 5.5, sometimes 6, 5.5, somewhere in there. You would think that the look-aheads would be a difference of about 5 or so, and you're saying that right now it's 3, 3.5, and then 10 if it's Ohio State. I mean, it's like a 7-point difference on the look-ahead.
Yeah, 3.5 to 10, so about 6.5. But you would think that Texas would get a little bit of a stronger bump than Ohio State since they're the underdog. So yeah, I think you can make a case that Ohio State might be Texas might be a slightly bigger favorite. I personally think 10 looks pretty hefty. The look-ahead line for Penn State was going to be Ohio State by 9.5 yesterday before the games were played. And obviously Notre Dame and Penn State didn't look great last night. That's probably part of it. But Ohio State played Penn State on the road. It was only a 3-point road favorite and won by 7 this season. So I've seen one book at 9.5 juiced and the other one at 10 flat. So that's pretty much what we're looking at most likely with Ohio State if they hold on to win. The problem with Notre Dame, though, is they don't throw the ball well. And if they get behind in the game, which they should as a 10-point dog, they don't have a lot of catch-up ability. So I think that's another reason you could make the case that game could get away from the Irish. I think Texas defensively is as good as anybody in the country. It's just that offense has been stagnant at times. And the total is interesting on this game tonight too, Tom, because it's at 52. My matchup projections is in the mid-40s, so I do think the line is too high. But as we saw last night, it's always so risky to play these unders. That Penn State game was 45. They had 20 total points the first 3 quarters, and then things opened up in the fourth. So I started thinking, well, maybe the first half under is the way to play this. hey, the odds makers, the betting market, they're not sleeping on that. The full game is 52. You look at the first half line, though, it's 26.5. So you're not getting either that key number of 27 or 28 working for you. I still think first quarter under 10.5 might be a decent play, as the teams probably come out a little conservative early on.
Yeah, I felt like watching that game last night, even though it was a very competitive game, that I felt like I was watching Clydesdales last night, and tonight I'm watching Thoroughbreds. You know,
Right.
I felt like I was watching the third place game in the tournament, and tonight feels like the Natty.
I totally agree. And I said that I did a free play video earlier this week for Wager Talk TV, and I go, the national champion will be decided on Friday night. You know, and I said, once again, those look ahead lines are around 3 to 9 at the time, depending on who they play. And I do think that's the case just because Notre Dame is so one-dimensional. By the way, when the playoffs began, my two futures plays were Notre Dame and Ohio State because I thought they were both very underrated, and I really liked the path that Notre Dame had. I thought Ohio State was the best team, but they had the toughest path, whereas I thought Notre Dame had a really almost, I don't want to say a cakewalk, but, you know, they got Indiana, and then they got a banged-up, overrated Georgia squad, and they got Penn State. Franklin still cannot beat winning teams. So it'll be a huge step up in class for Notre Dame, regardless of who they play after this game.
The Franklin numbers are stunning. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, something you got to consider in handicapping. Now 1 in 15 against top 5 teams with Penn State. Overall, 1 in 18. That's almost unimaginable. And then the one that jumped out at me as well is that they're 34-2 when they have a 10-point lead anytime in a game. 34-2. And the two were Ohio State and Notre Dame this year. You know, it's like he finds different kinds of ways to choke away a game. And I hate to say it, you know, because I like the guy, but man, you can't rely on them at all. And it turns out that path they had with SMU and Boise State turned out to be a very fortunate thing.
Yeah, and I don't have the quotes in front of me here, but did you see his post-game press conference? A couple of the things he said. He said something about, if you saw, you know, correct me, but it was something like, you know, it's about big games, but then this didn't matter. So I really didn't like what he said afterwards, and it gave me a little pause for concern as well.
Yeah, it is. Well, he gets very defensive. You know, I mean, that's been a characteristic of him over the years, is that he will get very, very defensive. Steve Merril with us from Wager Talk TV. By the way, speaking of defensive, you know how these experts, everybody's got an expert, right? And I thought that this was a stunning number. This is fantastic. The guy who picks games for The Athletic, all right, you know, which is a fine site, by the way. I use The Athletic all the time. I thought I was having a tough year because I've been hovering around 500 and beat the big dog all year long against the spread. So the guy, Chris Branch is his name. He is the betting expert for The Athletic, and he picks games for The Athletic. He's 27-42 against the spread this year. The guy's 20. He's getting paid to pick games for The Athletic, and he's 27-42 against the spread, which it just goes to show you how tough it can be if you don't have the right information.
Now, is that pro football only, or what sport is that?
College, pro. Now, in defense, he had the under last night and was looking good for a long time. You know, he had the under, but he's taking Ohio State and laying the wood tonight. I honestly, I think Texas can win the game outright. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think Texas can win the game outright. I really do.
I don't disagree that if you're going to play Texas, you definitely want to put some on the money line. Of course, as you know, Tom, I've said this for decades in all sports. If you play underdogs in any football or basketball, college or pro, you should be putting some of it on the money line, because if you like a team in the 6-point range here, you got to think they have a chance to win the game outright. Now, vice versa, I never recommend laying 2.5 to 1 with Ohio State on the money line. Just you either play the -6 or you don't play it at all. But yeah, I mean, Texas is a live dog. Like we talked about, they have a semi-home field advantage, a great defense. And we see this all the time in both pro college and pro basketball and football, that single-digit point spreads normally don't matter, right? It's usually a straight-up win by the dog or the favorite covers.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. All right, let's move forward to the NFL playoffs, which get going this weekend. Let's start at the end. I was a little mildly surprised when I saw that after the Minnesota-Los Angeles Ram game was moved out of SoFi to Arizona, that the line in the total didn't move at all. I mean, it was 2.5. Minnesota was a 2.5 when it was at SoFi. and there are 2.5, in the desert, in Arizona. It'll be interesting to see. It was going to be a pro-Minnesota crowd anyway. One of my guys that works at Monday Night Football says when they played there earlier in the year, it was 70-30 Minnesota Viking crowd. Maybe it would be closer to 50-50, for that game. But it'll be interesting to see how many empty seats there are, in Arizona for that game, which would be a bad optic for the NFL. But were you surprised at all that the line did not move a bit?
And the question is how many Cardinal fans will be at the game, right? That's the real deciding factor.
Right.
But interesting things here. First of all, when you and I were coming up decades ago, if a game was ever moved to another venue, every bet was canceled void. And that is actually not the prevailing rules in most sports books now. Most of the big boys are keeping this game action. So if you played it earlier in the week, you still got action at DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet365, Las Vegas, Circa, and both the Superbook in Las Vegas. Now, the two are avoiding it are BetMGM and Caesars. So you do have to read the fine print with your local sports book, because of the venue change. BetMGM and Caesars are making people rebet this game. But you mentioned it. The line really hasn't changed much. Now, with that said, if you look back on Tuesday, and you can do this on the Wager Talk Live odds grid, you can click on the history of the betting line. You'll see that Minnesota was about a 1-point favorite on Tuesday. Then it went to 2.5 the last couple of days, and that's where it reopened today when the site changed. I'll make the argument that I think most people knew this game was going to be moved, so maybe they start to front run it knowing that their bets wouldn't be canceled at a lot of those sports books nowadays. So I do think maybe you can say it's been about a 1-point adjustment. But like you said, LA's got very little home field to start with. And also you got to worry about the distraction for the Rams, their players, their families. I like LA as a live dog in this game, but I do worry a little bit that it's more of a distraction for them because they literally could be losing their houses back home. With that said, it's an excellent teaser opportunity, 2.5 up to 8.5. That extra 6 points covers 3, 6, 7, all those key margins. So Rams on a 6-point teaser might be the best way to play it.
Tomorrow night, you got Pittsburgh in Baltimore. We don't see these big lines ever in the NFL for the most part, but here we are in the playoffs, and we've got two games that are in that 9-point range, including tomorrow night with Pittsburgh limping in to Baltimore on 4 straight losses. And, all the pressure 100% is on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to go deep. They win here, and they likely play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in a matchup of these two guys that everybody's arguing over in terms of being the MVP. But, man, if there is any way that Pittsburgh were to win a football game here, which would be their first playoff win in, since 2016 for Mike Tomlin's team. But if they were to do that, I mean, you want to talk about vultures circling around Lamar Jackson, that's exactly what would happen there.
Yeah, I'll say the Baltimore Ravens are the Ohio State of pro football this year. The reason I say that is they very well might be the best team in the league, even though they're only the 3 seed. And I say that because if you look at games against other playoff teams this year, the Ravens went 7-3 straight up, but they were 10-0 in the stats. They outgained every opponent they played that was a playoff team, and they were plus 118 net yards on average. Nobody else was even close to those numbers. Steelers were just 2-5 statistically against the 7 teams they played that were playoff teams. Baltimore lost that first game, even though they had a 2-touchdown to none edge. Pittsburgh had 6 field goals. They got their revenge in the second game. But then you bring up the point. Lamar Jackson has underperformed in the postseason. He's just 2-4 straight up and against the spread. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson, 9-7 straight up. He's also 9-1 against the spread as a dog of 6 or more in his career. So this is a big number. It initially opened 8.5, and I thought the Ravens, once again, were an excellent teaser, getting them down to 2.5. Problem is the line is now 9.5. We even see some 10s out there. With that said, though, if you're going to play it, you have to lay it. I think Baltimore might be the best team in the NFL. Yes, they have a very difficult road, just like Ohio State has, as they're going to have to go through both Buffalo and Kansas City. But they blew out the Bills earlier. They actually outgained the Chiefs on opening night. And I think it's late if you're going to play it here. Pittsburgh just not a great team this year, and I think this game could very well get away from them.
I'm more confident that Buffalo is going to blow out Denver than I am that Baltimore is going to blow out Pittsburgh. It seems like that's the one to me that feels like a moto, that Buffalo is just going to run roughshod over a Denver team that's had a really nice season. And Bo Nix, a great kid. He's from the neighborhood here. And I'm glad to see him take his team to the playoffs, but it seems like they're over their skis right here.
Yeah, it's funny. You got to be so careful with statistics because if you look at the stat numbers, Denver was plus 71 net yards against other playoff teams in 7 games this year. This is the second best of all playoff teams, but it's so misleading because if you take out that Chiefs game in which the Chiefs were playing nobody last week, Denver would actually have been negative net yards. So, yeah, I don't see the Broncos winning this game. The one thing they do have going for them, though, a little bit more than Pittsburgh, is they have a very strong defense, and I think that could keep it within the range. They only give up 18 points a game, but once again, rookie quarterback on the road, cross-country against a veteran experienced team and coach. Not a great setup. Here, though, the line is 8.5 in some spots. So, yeah, Buffalo could be a solid teaser. If you're looking for something to sign up with the Rams as a 6-point teaser, and you get the Bills down to minus 2.5 or less, that definitely makes sense.
Why does this game show at Wager Talk? I mentioned this earlier in the week that it opened at 3.5. Why does it? This game was never 3.5, was it?
Yeah, I'd have to check that. That doesn't look right to me either. That probably is a bad tick. I'm looking here. One thing you can do on Wager Talk is click on the openers tab on the free odds screen, and I'm doing that right now. Everybody else was 8.5, 9. It's showing Bet Online open minus 3.5, but I think that was probably a mistake and maybe a bad number. You don't see that too often. But that's a great point. I'm actually going to contact them and let them know because this live odds is pretty accurate, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
That is a weird one. Now, I do believe that Green Bay and Philadelphia could have been 3.5 on the open because of the uncertainty of Jalen Hurts. Now, Hurts has practiced. He's looked good in practice. If anything, if he's right in the brain, he could be feeling good. Get a couple of weeks, 3 weeks off for the legs and everything. That's such a big part of his game. So, and again, Green Bay comes stumbling into the playoffs. Now it's 5, going up to 5.5. It might even grow more. And you wonder whether or not the Pack will go quietly into the night against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I talked about how Baltimore is my Ohio State. Well, I thought Green Bay could be the Notre Dame. I thought the Packers were a very dangerous team coming into the postseason. They end up getting a 7 seed. Terrible loss as a 10-point favorite against Chicago last week. If they win that game, they had a chance to go into the 6th seed and play in Tampa instead of Philadelphia. And they lose Christian Watson at receiver. He's only 5th and 6th in receptions and targets, but he's 21 yards per catch, which is by far the leader on the team. So it takes away some big plays. Love injures his arm last week in that Chicago loss as well. He's not 100%. So all of a sudden, I'm not very bullish on the Packers anymore, and I don't think they get by Philly. It's going to be either Detroit or Philadelphia in this conference. If the Packers pull the upset, they could make some noise. But difficult matchup for them and not a good spot for a Packers team that has also really struggled this year against good teams. They lost both games against Minnesota, Detroit. They lost to Philly back in week 1 in Brazil. And keep in mind, Philadelphia won that game by 5 despite having a 3-1 turnover deficit. They still won the game outright. And now they're going up against it. In fact, Green Bay this year against other playoff teams only covered once in 7 games. And I think they're in trouble this week.
And then and that brings us to the Washington game at Tampa Bay. Who knows? This could be the Washington Redskins again in a couple of years. I mean, they're talking about it, and we'll see what happens and to see if we bring those glorious uniforms and colors back. I don't know, but I think it's been, 10 years since a rookie quarterback won a playoff game, and you got to like Baker Mayfield's chances in this one here. That line almost seems a little bit short.
Well, I think it's going to be a shootout, though. The total is 50. It's the highest total on the board of all 6 games, and that does give the Commanders a chance to trade points. They, of course, played back in week 1 also, 37-20 Tampa win. But Jalen Daniels, there were no turnovers in the game. He didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he did run the ball, and Tampa has struggled stopping the run at times this year. So if he's a little bit more mobile here in this game than Baker Mayfield, that could be the difference. And, yes, I think the Redskin nickname hopefully comes back, the logo at least. I've got my beanie here. Future Redskin fan once again. Last time this beanie would have fit me is when they won a playoff game. In fact, I looked it up because I did a free play video on Wager Talk TV on this game. And the Redskins' last playoff win was with Joe Gibbs in 2005, 19 years ago. And in his second return, they won a game in 99, I think. And then the other one was the year after he won Super Bowl 26. They've only won 2 games in the last 32 years since that year after the Super Bowl in the postseason. I think they have a chance in this one, though. These are 2 teams that are not going far. It really doesn't matter who wins this game. They're not going to win the conference. But both teams can trade points. Should be a fun game to watch Sunday night.
I've told you the story about the history of the name Redskins, right? How they
you don't. I've used that a ton, Tom. It's been one of the best tidbits you've given me. I got in a little spat on Wager Talk TV in the comments section Someone said, because I always say, not my Washington Commanders. I said, bring back the logo. The logo's back. Bring back the nickname. They said, Steve, it's a racist nickname. I go, well, it was chosen by Native Americans when they relocated, and that was you, Thom Abraham, that educated me on that.
Yeah, they were the Braves and the
Boston Braves.
The Boston Braves, and the coach and 7 players who were all natives said, Braves is so weak. We want to be the Redskins, and that's where it came from. And yeah, so we'll see. When you say the logo's back, what are you referring to? Have they made that decision? Are you hearing more and more it's getting?
Well, just that it's been approved, right? I think we talked about that a few weeks ago, right? The NFL, I think, is not against it, so
okay.
I'm hoping that's a starting point.
That's Walter Blackie Wetzel, the leader
historical
of the
figure.
Blackfeet Nation on that deal there. So, that is it's not like I always thought Chief Wahoo was offensive. You know what I mean? If you want to say
you could make that argument. That's a good point.
Yeah, Chief Wahoo is offensive. This is not the Blackhawks logo is not the Braves the way they handle the Native Americans is not. So that's the difference. Seminoles is not, of course, not with the Seminoles. The Seminoles pay. They give a scholarship each year to a kid from the Seminole Nation, and they pay money into the Seminole Nation as well. And that's what some of the talk is on the Redskin deal, is that some of the proceeds from sale of merchandise and things like that would go to Native American causes, which is we're all good. Just bring back the Redskins.
Yeah, and they were so wussy about this whole thing. They shot themselves in the foot. The whole Commanders nickname is awful from the start. Football team was worse. They could have gone with Washington Warriors, which I thought had a nice ring to it. They never were going to do that because they wanted to distance themselves from anything Redskins. They could have gone with Red Hogs, which was my choice. They didn't want the word red, probably. But had they gone Washington Warriors, they could have already probably brought the logo back right now, and I would have been okay with that. But they just were so wussy about the whole thing. And as you know, don't let facts and historical references get in the way of a nice cancel culture for a couple of years.
Well, yeah, and the thing is that Warriors, they said, well, we don't want anything that has Native American imagery. Well, wait a minute. We call our fighting men and women warriors. What about wounded warriors? I mean, that would be an honor to our existing military. The one I liked is if you were gonna go in a different direction was, why not Americans? Why not be the Washington Americans? And there's your Native American guy right there on the helmet.
Yeah, and you could have brought it back.
Americans.
Yeah, it's just this is what happens when you let a small little minority dictate the tempo in the country right now. I mean, this is such a perfect example of it. This got caught up in that 2020 cancel culture, and next thing you know, they're calling them the football team. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always. Great stuff. Have a great weekend. Lots of good football, obviously, to take in here over the weekend. The basketball as well. The hoops is good. And I love that conference play is now underway in college basketball as well. So lots to do here. And we'll look forward to talking again next week.
Thanks, Thom.
All right, thank you. There you go. It's a good job by him. Steve Merril, always outstanding. All right, when we come back, phone lines go open again. So we do have a Friday trifecta for you with a bonus. I know it's nasty and snowy out there, and not a lot of people are in their vehicles that are listening on the road. But if you're listening at home or you just want to make that phone call, or you're listening on the app, go ahead and hit us up. 256-576-4977. That'll get you into the show. You can hit the text window as well. More of the Thom Abraham Show right after this. It's laundry season at Owen Home Appliance Center. Tired of that washer walking out the door and having to dry a load 2 or 3 times? It's time for a new washer and dryer. Pick from brands like Maytag, GE, Whirlpool, Electrolux, and of course, Speed Queen. Try the new 2-in-1 GE Profile that washes and dries a load all in one machine. Visit the interactive location in Lacey Springs where you can try the washers and dryers before you buy them. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name, Owen Home Appliance Center.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio. And have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process. Power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
Hey, welcome back. Tom Abraham Show. Glad that you are with us today on this snow day. Go ahead and jump online if you want to get in on the Friday trifecta. We have it for you here. We're bringing you Texas plus 5.5 tonight against Ohio State. Then tomorrow night, the Steelers getting 8.5 against the Ravens. And Sunday, the Broncos 9.5 we're going to use there. And then the Panther against the Bills. And then the Panthers getting 4.5 at the Eagles. So go ahead and have at it if you want to jump on board with that. We're talking a little bit about last night's game as well. Competitive, fun, exciting, but a lot of errors, right, on both sides of that game. I mean, when you look at the way that thing was going, I mean, you had Notre Dame leading, 17-10. They allow a long touchdown drive, and then Riley Leonard throws an interception on the first play after that. And the next thing you know, Nicholas Singleton scores 5 plays later. And then just like that, Penn State went from down 17-10 to up 24-17, and it looked like they were in great shape. And then all of a sudden, you get a guy falling down for Penn State in the defensive backfield, and Riley Leonard hits Jaden Greathouse for 54 yards and a touchdown, and the game is tied at 24. And then they're unable to, Notre Dame gets the ball back. They're unable to get into position. They're into Penn State territory, but they're, the line is breaking down, and the quarterback gets sacked. And next thing you know, they're punting. Remember, Leonard had to go out of the game for a while at the end of the first half. Steve Angeli comes in. They're down 10-0. Steve Angeli comes in, takes him down for a field goal right at the end of the half. I'm like, all right, roll with Angeli. See how this goes. But then Riley Leonard comes back in, throws that touchdown pass. They can't get going. They got a punt. A couple of minutes left in the game. Penn State gets the ball deep in their own territory, and then Drew Eller makes that pass that was intercepted by Christian Gray, and you can look at that as many times as you want, from the end zone, from the all 22, from the side angle, whatever. I don't know what Drew Eller's throwing at. I don't know where he's throwing that ball. And so Gray comes up with the interception, and then I thought the play, look, there's no guarantee they're hitting a 54-yard field goal. That was the long for the kicker, Jeter. Of course, Jeter's going to be clutch. I mean, Jeter. Jeet, you know. But he, you know, they ran the ball with the quarterback, and they were looking at a 50 to 54-yard field goal and had 3rd down and 2. And they ran a little pop pass for a first down to Greathouse. I think it was to Greathouse. And then they get another first down, and now it's a 41-yard field goal, and he pumps it through. Game over. And they win that thing.
I think the biggest storyline for Notre Dame this postseason, obviously Riley Leonard has been a great addition, you know, Duke, Blue Devil. But Mitch Jeter, what he's been able to do, I know that, you know, I talked about how bad he was during the regular season. He was 6 of 12.
No, he was hurt, too, for a while.
Yeah, he had a hip injury coming in as a Gamecock. Yeah, I mean, it was some of the worst field goal kicking we've seen out of a power team. And then to see him just completely shift into playoff mode, he missed one against Indiana, but outside of that, he's been flawless, and he's been clutch, and he's been a big reason why this team's able to win these games.
Well, it's just so luck of the Irish. I mean that's what it was back in the day. It was luck of the Irish. I think the luck will run out when they get to the national championship game, because it felt like they were they didn't seem like they were going to be overly competitive once Penn State had built that 10-0 lead. I remember turning to my son Danny was watching a game with me on the new John, you got to see it, man.
Oh, I've seen pictures.
The sectional. Yeah,
oh my gosh. I'd be sleeping on that thing.
That thing needs its own area code.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge, massive.
Where are you sitting on that, by the way? Because now you're little
smack
lazy boys.
Dab. Yeah, the lazy boys. I'm smack dab 100% right directly in front of the TV, straight on. Where the chair was, where the Barca Lounger was, is now where the chaise is, where your mother won't let anybody else sit on that except for her and the dog.
Of course.
All right, they sit on the chaise, and the chaise reclines too. The chaise is so big that your mother and I can fit on that thing together. The back goes down. I mean, it kind of like it's a chaise, but then it reclines back so it can get really comfortable. But she sits there and does her crocheting and stuff, but her and I can sit on that thing together. She let me do that once for like 10 minutes, and she said, "Get off my chaise." But then I go over to the one right next to her on the other side of the console. There's a console. It's got like cup holders, and it's got the thing that you put the remotes in. You know, it opens up and stuff, and you can put the remotes in there. I put a couple of other things in there. She told me to stop. Put a couple of napkins in there to blow my nose with. She's like, "You can't do that." I put a little bit of food in there.
You gotta
I put
claim
some crackers
your
in there.
land. You're claiming your land.
I was staking it out a little bit. I can't wait for the first time that it's a football weekend and she's gone doing something else with one of the daughters, and then I'm going to jump on the chaise and enjoy that a little bit. But the one that I sit on, which is just on the opposite side now, just across from you go on the other side, right next to the chaise, on the other side of the little console thing where the cup holders is, that one reclines. So that's got a recliner. That kicks out. And then the one around the corner, that one reclines as well. And they're both as wide as a full-size bed. I think it's massive. So we're watching the game last night, and I told him when Notre Dame went down 10, I said to him, forget about it. I said, there's no way Notre Dame, they don't have the kind of team that can come back. They averaged 2.8 yards per carry in the game. Now, a lot of that was, why do you keep running Riley Leonard? Riley Leonard comes in back in the game in the second half after getting his bell rung. That's what they were looking at, concussion protocol. Comes back in the game, and they keep running Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
It's almost coaching malpractice. The running backs were doing great. Love, and then that other kid, Aeneas Williams. We were arguing whether or not that kid was white or not. We couldn't figure it out. He's like real light skinned. He's got to be like Mahomes. He's got to be mixed. Because finally we found a picture of him, and we could tell looking at the picture, like, oh, that's not. He's mixed. Let me tell you something, John.
Okay.
When I was a kid, all right, in the late 60s and stuff, when I'm first getting into football big time, when I'm like 7, 8 years old, I mean, I was into it.
Yeah.
We didn't have the video game to learn how to play Madden and learn football that way. We learned football by watching football. So when I was a kid, your grandfather, my father, big Notre Dame fan, and we watched Notre Dame. We watched with Lindsey Nelson and the replays, and every Sunday morning before church, they'd have the replay at a Notre Dame game. They'd condense it into a 2-hour broadcast and things like this. So when I was a kid, I thought you actually had to be Irish Catholic to play on Notre Dame, to go to Notre Dame.
The things we think of when we were children.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those deals. I thought you had to be Irish Catholic. This is like 1969, 1970. Okay? And most of the players were white. So as far as I knew, they might all have been Irish. I just assumed they were all Irish. They were the Fighting Irish. Why would they call them the Fighting Irish otherwise?
Yeah.
So in about 1969 or 1970, I'm watching a game at my grandfather's down in Florida. And it wasn't my grandfather Dominic Lapoma. My grandfather was not much of a college football fan. He was more of a pro football fan, but he was not much of a college football fan as well. So he walks by the TV, and he says to me, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "It's the Fighting Irish, Grandpa." I was like 9. I remember this as clear as day. I think I was 9 years old. It was like 1970.
Here we go.
I'm like, "It's the Fighting Irish, Grandpa." And right at that moment, they showed a close-up of Thom Gatewood, who spelled his name the way I spell mine. Thom. Thom Gatewood, Tom Darden from Michigan. They spelled their name Thom. That's why I started spelling mine that way when I was 7, 8 years old. All right? Tom Darden was a safety for Michigan, was drafted by the Browns. He was the number 1 pick by the Browns in like 70 or 71. He was spelling his name, and I was like, "Mom, that's how I'm spelling my name from now on. Thom. Didn't make any sense to me. Why do you take the H out? Why Thomas? You spell Thomas with an H. You spell Tom without an H. It doesn't make any sense. I was always very much sensical. It's got to make sense to me. So anyway, it says that my grandfather walks by, and he's, "What are you watching?" I said, "I'm watching the Fighting Irish, Grandpa." And right at that moment, they showed a close-up of Thom Gatewood, who was a wide receiver for the Irish, and he was black guy. And Grandpa says to me, "Don't look Irish to me." Walks out of the room.
Well,
that was it.
Neither does Marcus Freeman, though. I mean, neither does Marcus Freeman.
Well,
and look at him now.
Then I realized that, it wasn't just Irish Catholics that went and played for Notre Dame at that point in time, because then it was, a guy by the name of Pennick that was a running back. And yeah. So I figured out that not only, and then, Ara Parseghian was the head coach then. And Ara Parseghian was Protestant. He was not Catholic. And there was a big controversy about that back in the day, because he was the first non-Catholic to be the head coach at Notre Dame.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, religion kind of means more whenever it comes down to the two
Notre
subjects.
Dame,
Yeah.
Talking about Notre Dame. All right, let's grab a break. When we come back, we got a lot of time. Got a lot of room to get you in. You want to jump on board? You can jump on board. They're going to name the new Hall of Famers from the NFL and in actually baseball in a not too distant future here, sometime in the next, I think baseball's on the 21st and football will be right after that. Throw some names out there. You want to debate that? You can do it. You want to get in on the trifecta? You can do that as well. 256-576-4977 will get you into the show. Carson Beck is a Miami Hurricane, if you're wondering.
Wild.
He went to the Miami Hurricanes. People are like, well, why, if he decided not to go in the NFL draft after he declared for the NFL draft, why didn't he just stay at Georgia? Well, you're assuming that Georgia wanted him back. Maybe Georgia didn't want him. Look, he's not. That injury is a lot worse than when it happened. When that injury happened, and everybody just kind of, oh, Notre Dame beat Georgia. Luck of the art. There you go. I mean, their quarterback got knocked out at halftime of that game. You know, I don't know that they don't win that game if Carson Beck isn't in there.
There might be some other reasons why he wanted to go down to Miami. You know, make it.
His girlfriend's down there.
Yeah, that too.
She's there. Yeah. But the point is that I don't know that he had the option of going back to Georgia. I think Georgia was ready to move on. You know, they've got Gunnar Stockton, who they believe a lot in Gunnar Stockton, and they've got Ryan Puglisi, who Gunnar Stockton will compete with for that job. But Carson Beck, everybody thought going into the season that Carson Beck would be the first pick in the 2025 draft. Remember, he was one of the favorites for the Heisman. He was right up there at the top of the list as a favorite for the Heisman. Well, he was coming off of a season in 2023 where he threw for 3,941 yards. He had 24 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. But he had dudes like Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. I mean, Brock Bowers, absolute stud at tight end. I mean, he set the rookie tight end record, the rookie reception record for the Raiders with Tom, Dick, and Harry as quarterbacks for him. I mean, can you imagine if they actually get him a quarterback? Ladd McConkey at San Diego is a huge part of that offense. Huge part of that offense. Now those guys were gone this year. And at receiving core we've always said that Kirby Smart wants to be just like Nick Saban. Well, it was the same thing. All of a sudden, their receiving core looked like Alabama's receiving core. It went down dramatically.
Well, they all transferred to penitentiaries, so that was another storyline that was going on at the beginning of the season. But besides the point,
so he comes out and he throws for 3,500 yards. He throws for 440 yards less. Throws for 3,500, but he still threw 28 touchdown passes. He was 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions last year. And this past season, he was 28 touchdowns, but 12 interceptions. So his interception rate was up. Now he's got the UCL injury to his elbow. They were talking like, well, we'll find out at the half whether or not he can come back in the second half. Come back in the second half. Dude is not going to be ready for spring ball. Not going to be ready for spring ball with Miami. So he goes to Miami, obviously plenty of talent there, and he's got to work his way back into the first round. I mean, that's got to be the big thing. You go to Miami, like it did for Cam Ward. Cam Ward goes to Miami from Washington State. Next thing you know, I think Cam Ward's going to be the first quarterback selected. It's not going to be Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of questions about Shedeur Sanders. It's not going to be Shedeur Sanders. It's going to be Cam Ward. Going to be first quarterback taken.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. We're going to break. Come back. Final segment next. Jump on board if you want. It's a Thom Abraham Show on a Football Friday.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, G-Bank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a G-Bank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Notre Dame headed for the national title game after beating Penn State 27-24 in the Orange Bowl at Hard Rock Stadium. After being the favorite for the entire week, the Fighting Irish close as a 1.5 underdog at kickoff as bettors flock to the Penn State Nittany Lions. Notre Dame will meet either Ohio State or Texas. The Cotton Bowl Classic coming up today at AT&T Stadium. Buckeyes laying 6 against the Longhorns, 53.5 the total. Wild card weekend of the NFL tomorrow. The Chargers laying 3 at Houston. The Ravens a 9.5-point home favorite against the Pittsburgh Steelers at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people, flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at BBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Coming up next week, the show will be originating from the Huntsville Boat Show at the Von Braun Center on Thursday and Friday of next week. Now, on Thursday, we'll be there during setup as the show will open right after the Tom Abraham show. We're going to be the pregame for the Huntsville Boat Show on Thursday, 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock. On Thursday, and then on Friday, the Huntsville Boat Show opens at noon, and we'll be there noon to 2 as well. You can look for us by the TOC set in tent, the 97.7 ESPN The Zone TOC tent will be set up down there. But I'm trying to work it out, John. that I want to do the show actually from one of the boats. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's one of the big pontoon boats. I want to put the tent next to the boat and then do the show right from a boat. What do you think about that?
How has this not already happened? I feel like we tried to maybe do this another year, and you were just a little bit out of water, you know?
I need power.
Yeah.
I need power. Well, what I got to do is I got to reach out to the guy and see if they want me to bring down the Bassmaster radio boat and do the show from that boat, from my boat. There was a conflict last year, and I'll be brutally honest with you. I don't think they didn't have a Phoenix dealer there last year, and I don't think they wanted to have a Phoenix showing up there if if there was a Phoenix dealer there, we would take the Bassmaster Radio 919 ZXL Phoenix and park it right there in the Phoenix spot.
Yeah.
And then we would do the show right from there. But, we'll have to see. But there's going to be great dealers out there. Irwin Marine Sales will be there. Skias Marine will be there. Tim's Ford Power Sports will be there. Trident Marine Group, Russell Marine, Rambo Marine, or Rainbow Marine, either way. But Rambo Marine will be there. And Dry Creek Marine will all be down there at the boat show. So it's a great opportunity, great buying opportunity, and all kinds of other things, and a lot of other products that you can see, all the new products for this year. And it's one of the cool things to do when it's miserable weather or it's cold weather. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be snowing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it will be cold next weekend. But, man, I'll tell you what, a midwinter boat show, nothing warms the cockles of the heart more than a midwinter boat show at the Von Braun Center.
No doubt about that. The last 2 years we've been able to go and you do the show down there. It's been a lot of fun. And although I'm not able to buy a boat right now, it gives me plans for the future. And also, I now know where to buy a boat because those prices are extremely low. So you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, they got great deals, great show deals down there that you can take advantage of. And so you might want to get on down there and take in all of that action. Now, I know you're a little bit of a youngin', so you don't really – a lot of these guys that are up for the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, are not necessarily guys that you have a real good feel for.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. In a few years, you'll start getting guys that, wait a minute, that was my guy, and so on. But you look at the guys, the 15 finalists. First of all, some of them I'm kind of a little bit surprised to find out that they're not in yet, like Darren Woodson and Reggie Wayne. I'm like, why aren't those guys – really? Those guys aren't in the Hall of Fame? Adam Vinatieri, there's not a lot of kickers. I don't know how many place kickers are in the Hall of Fame, but Adam Vinatieri is probably the best kicker in the history of the NFL. And I would also say that he was the most clutch kicker in the history of the NFL. And if there's such a thing as a kicker going in on the first ballot, I think Adam Vinatieri has to go in.
I believe there's 4 place kickers that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And, the list is very, very short.
Okay. There must be a Gogolak in there, maybe. I would think that there'd be a Gogolak in there.
I don't see
No,
Gogolak.
Pete Gogolak's not in the Hall of Fame?
You got George Blanda. You got Louis Groza.
Lou Groza was, he was fantastic.
Morton Anderson and Jan Standrum. You probably know that one.
That would be Jan Stenerud.
That's why. That's probably why.
Jan Stenerud, man.
Didn't ring a
Back
bell.
in the day with Kansas City. Yeah, Jan Stenerud was one of the best. Lou Groza was a guard for the Cleveland Browns. That was back in the day when you would be a position player. He was a guard for the Browns and also was a kicker. And in his last 10 years, he did nothing but kick. He, when he retired, had the all-time record for most points scored in the NFL. George Blanda was a quarterback and played quarterback for the Houston Oilers and the Chicago Bears for a little while when he first came in and made most of his bones in the AFL. And, was the kicker for the Oakland Raiders, but he was also a quarterback.
Huh.
So that was the way it was back then. Punters, a lot of times your punter was a tight end or a wide receiver. Gary Collins, great wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, was a punter for the Browns. Bob Parsons punted for the Bears. He was a wide receiver. Bob Trumpy was the punter for the Cincinnati Bengals, was a tight end. Position players, took care of those roles often back in the day. Pat Summerall, the great broadcaster, was a kicker for the New York Giants. He was also a wide receiver and was a kicker for the Giants. So I think Antonio Gates needs to go in. He's a first ballot guy. I don't know why we would jerk around with that. I think he's a guy that probably should be in there. Luke Kuechly is a lead pipe cinch. Absolutely should be in. I mean, a short career for Luke Kuechly.
Feels like it was last year he was out of the league.
8-year career for Luke Kuechly.
Didn't he retire in 2014, 2015?
2019 is when he retired.
Golly.
So 5 years out, boom, this is first year eligible. And I know the debate's going to rage on about Eli Manning, and I think that Eli Manning eventually is a Hall of Famer. I would not put Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. I would not. He was a 500 quarterback that's numbers were not very good in his entire career and had 2 outstanding Januaries. He's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. But if Eli Manning is in, then Jim Plunkett should be in. Who also won 2 Super Bowls. All right, Paul Feinbaum Show is coming up next. Thanks to John for filling in for Joe. I'm Tom. Have a safe weekend, everyone. We'll catch you on Monday.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's on to the NFL for Penn State All-American defensive end Abdul Carter. His agent told ESPN's Adam Schefter today the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year is entering April's draft, where he's expected to be taken early in the first round. Carter recorded his 12th sack of the season in the loss to